So they're now talking about ending the voluntary phase of the vaccine movement, making it mandatory. Listen to New York City's Mayor De Blasio on Morning Joe. Listen.
Now, and like was said a moment ago, we used to do this as parents all the time for a variety of vaccinations. We've got to shake people at this point and say, come on now. We tried voluntary. We could not have been more kind and compassionate as a country. Free testing everywhere you turn, incentives, friendly, warm embrace. The voluntary phase is over. We can keep doing those things. I'm not saying shut it down. I'm saying voluntary alone doesn't work.
So you heard it right there from his mouth, by the way. Welcome to my channel. This is Bruce the Boss. And if you're not yet subscribed, please go ahead and smash on that subscribe button. Like this video, comment on this video. We cannot let these incidents go without warning, without notice, and your interaction on the channel helps the video immensely get displayed and or appear on other channels. All right, because the left are making moves. They are saying these things. We just need to make sure we are ensuring that everyone is aware and paying attention. I can't even say they're saying the quiet things out loud anymore. I feel like I've said that enough over the past several months that they don't even care, because they feel as though they've won the culture war. They've won all of the areas of industry and or government to allow them to do and say whatever they want. Take a listen to CNN's medical advisor and virologist, Dr. Leana Wen,
on what it is that we do at this point. So now we have this Delta variant that is much more contagious. Because it's more contagious, it's going to be even harder for us to reach herd immunity. We're going to have to vaccinate an even higher proportion of people to get there. What happens then if we end up having another variant developing that's even more contagious, that could cause more disease, that could evade the protection of our immune system? And so how quickly we get this under control and which way we go depends on what we do now when it comes to vaccination, to overcoming disinformation. And what we really need to do at this point is to make vaccination the easy choice. It needs to be hard for people to remain unvaccinated. Right now, it's kind of the opposite. It's fine. I mean, it's easy if you're unvaccinated. You can do everything you want to do anyway. But at some point, these mandates by workplaces, by schools, I think it will be important to say, hey, you can opt out, but if you want to opt out, you have to sign these forms. You have to get twice weekly testing. Basically, we need to make getting vaccinated the easy choice. That is what it's going to take for us to actually end the pandemic.
So that's the end goal, is to not only make life a living hell for those who have made the voluntary decision not to get the jab for whatever myriad of reasons, and it may have nothing to do with medical misinformation, but rather personal and or medical decisions, because everyone's medical and physical conditioning is unique and different and may react a little bit differently to something that is otherwise safe for 99% of the population. All right, so they're trying to make it either a living hell, and they're admitting it, and or in the voluntary with a compulsory order. I mean, just think about the fact that even the VA has just recently mandated the jab for all of its employees. God forbid someone has. And this is why we always have to say, consult with your medical doctor, because you never know if you may be one of those few rare people that have an allergic reaction or adverse reaction to an ingredient in the jab that is otherwise, again, safe and effective for the rest of the population. You never know. And anaphylactic shock has been a adverse reaction shown in some of the jabs in, I believe, mostly in Europe, like the AstraZeneca, if I'm not mistaken. You never know. So we always have to say, consult with your doctor to make sure you're doing what's best for you individually. But they're already making moves to make it compulsory and or mandatory in the VA. And we hear that the Biden administration is set to announce tomorrow, Thursday, July the 29th, that he's considering making it mandatory for all federal employees, not just VA workers or VA hospital workers and staff, but all federal employees. The federal government is perhaps the largest single employer in the country with, I believe, 2.1 million an ABC article once wrote and said, I believe the only closest employer would be Walmart. But if they can also convince the employers, if this is the moves, some of the moves that governments are trying to make it mandatory, and meanwhile make it one's life a living hell on the other end. Look at what's happening across Europe with the passage of the health pass or the green pass in Italy, where they're literally telling the European citizens, you cannot move, or we're restricting your movements. You cannot attain certain services. That includes indoor restaurant dining. You can't go to certain buildings unless if you show proof of having get the jab. That's what led to the massive marches across the world, mostly in Europe, France, Italy, UK, Belgium, Finland, and then not to mention in Melbourne and Victoria, Sydney, Australia. I believe there were some marches in Canada as well. Upwards to 2 million that went totally ignored. I did a video on it. Go check it out. Because they don't want you, the media that is, to let you know that there is massive support for pushback on a lot of these government moves. And they don't want you to be aware of what your power is as a people, which is why it's very important that we, the people, stand united for freedom of choice, whatever that choice happens to be. But you have to be paying attention to the moves to know when to fight back and what's going on. Otherwise, before you know it, we're pushed so far back in a dystopian society that it becomes almost impossible, if not too late, to fight. And so the biggest fight has to be legislatively and also at the polls during the midterms in 2022, contacting your local official and representative to let them know of some of the moves you don't support. Let them know you are willing to primary them come the upcoming midterm election. Make your voices heard, but these are the moves that they're trying to make. It's no longer going to be voluntary. They're pushing, they're telling you to your face. And I also did a video on the fact that the Biden administration is actively and openly admitting that they are working with social media. And they're saying this out loud publicly. And they're like, so what? We can say this. Yes, we're skirting on First Amendment rights, because you have Jen Psaki literally saying we're flagging accounts for Facebook.
Within the Surgeon General's office, we're flagging problematic posts for Facebook that spread disinformation. We're working with doctors and medical professionals to connect to connected medical experts.
And they're like, we don't care. We have all of the power. It was one thing last year for us to know that social media giants that owned over 90% of the market share, like the Facebooks and Instagrams, which Facebook owns Instagram, Twitter, Google, which also owns YouTube, we all knew they had a massive liberal bias, and therefore we're only going to support content that confirmed their biases while attacking anything that dared to go against it. And we'll do anything that will help push the agenda of the policies that they support and like. It was one thing for them to know, for us to know that they were doing that, and for them to do that as a private company on their own. But to now know that they are literally coordinating with the federal government to flag certain accounts and commit censorship, they are now becoming literally the arm of the government. I always like to say, to piggyback off of an Immortal Technique track from his Revolutionary Volume 2 album. Great album, by the way. I suggest everyone go cop that. It's a great piece of work, very informational as well as entertaining music. But he talked about the fourth branch of the government, aka the media. Well, now we can include social media, because as a whole, mainstream media and social media have become so powerful at being able to control the conversation, control what you know, control what you think, control what you're allowed to find and see, hear, research. They are in their own right a branch of government. They're that powerful. And now here they are coordinating with another branch of government, the executive branch, actively. And they're saying, so what? So what if we are working with Facebook, Twitter? So what if we are trying to reach out to these cell phone carriers? But we have to listen to the government officials, what they're telling us to our faces. They're hoping that we are ignorant. They're hoping that we're not paying attention so that they can make these moves and the laws will already be in the books. The executive orders will already be in the books, and it will be almost impossible to fight and or stop them by that point. So we need to pay attention. I'll try to keep reporting on all of this. So hit that notification bell so you can get notified of my latest content. Thank you so much for watching it, especially this far in. If you're not yet subscribed, again, encourage you to go ahead and smash that subscribe button, like this video, comment on this video, and even share this video. This is Bruce the Boss.